As a native New Yorker born and bred, I think it's important to note that many of the Democrats on this committee have smeared brave victims and fellow New Yorkers here today, calling them props, a circus, a performance, MAGA Broadway pops, and an underlying sham. What have Republicans focused on? We've focused on giving victims a voice. We've focused on crimes. We've focused on your story as a father, visiting your son at the hospital, seeing his face beaten in with an anti-Semitic hate crime. We're focused, Ms. Brame, on your story as a mother, grieving the loss, rightfully grieving the loss, and advocating on behalf of your son and his legacy. Ms. Harrison, we heard your story about losing your loved one. And Mr. Alba, we heard your story, just the personal challenges you've faced dealing with the consequences of the vicious crime perpetrated against you. And in addition to House Democrats belittling the victims here today, Democrats have politicized this hearing, mentioning Donald Trump 38 times. That number for Republicans is 0. We are focused on victims and making sure that we support law and order in this country. There is a catastrophic crime crisis across America, specifically in our great cities and great cities like New York. New Yorkers know it, Americans know it. And while Democrats on this committee may claim that New York is not the epicenter, look no further than the last November election where we flipped 4 congressional seats, delivering the House majority. What was the #1 issue? It was crime, because voters are smart. The people are smart. Mr. DiGiacomo, as a longtime member of law enforcement, I wanted to get your testimony today. How long have you served in law enforcement?
Approximately 40 years.
And in those 40 years, would you say the crime crisis today is worse than you've ever seen it?
That's correct.
Crime is up. Is it fair to say that it is a result of failed bail reform policies in Albany and Alvin Bragg's Day 1 memo?
100%.
And here are some important numbers. In 2022, District Attorney Bragg's first year as DA, New York City saw a 23% surge in major crimes. Is that true?
That's correct.
From 2019 to 2022, murders are up 93%.
That's correct.
From 2019 to 2022, robberies are up 43%.
Correct.
Felony assaults are up 32%.
Correct.
And it's fair to say that law enforcement strongly opposed Bragg's Day 1 memo and failed bail reform policies in Albany.
100%.
Mr. DiGiacomo, in fact, you have said, quote, Bragg gives criminals the roadmap to freedom from prosecution and control of our streets. In Bragg's Manhattan, you can arrest, deal drugs, obstruct arrest, and even carry a gun to get away with it.
Congresswoman Stefanik bringing the heat, as always, and exposing the radical Democrats, not just for their lawlessness and the policies that they support, which include putting criminals back onto the streets, horrific bail reform policies, defunding our police, but more importantly, for the sheer disrespect that they have for any American who does not think the way that they do. Even these families of victims of horrific crimes that have happened under their watch. But because these families came and testified in a Republican-led hearing, these Democrats have no respect, actually referring to them as props. Nope, how about these are great Americans who have faced the atrocities of your policies. And Congresswoman Stefanik was so smart to point out that the Democrats mentioned Donald Trump's name 38 times in this hearing, as if he has something to do with the lives that have been lost in New York City. Quite the opposite. That blood is on the Democrats' hands, and their refusal to take responsibility for that is shameful.